Hello. Hello, this is the My Artifact episode number 4005. Today's date is um April 17, 2026. It's been almost like a morning at 7:54 a.m. Should we jump into the question? Let's go. Alright, so question is, how will AI detect good versus harmful content? Okay, first of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? Basically, it's this thing. I want to build app called My Artifact. Okay, what exactly is this application? It's a kind of like a simply such an application where you write your diary every single day. I'm just kind of like a changing writing to recording. Okay, yeah. Like instead of your writing your diary, what if you could record your diary? Means audio record your diary. Okay, yeah. I call them as a artifact. Okay. The stuff that you are listening or seeing right now on this YouTube platform, it is my artifact episode. Okay, like my. Okay. My artifact episode number 4005. Okay. I am doing this thing for almost like a decade, almost like 11 year, and it add so much amount of value inside of me. It's a kind of like a self-reflection. You try to understand yourself. This is what artifact does. Now, the amount of experience that I get, the value that I get from the artifact, I wanted to share that value to the people so that they would supposed to be get the value from the artifact too. How do I do that? By building an application called My Artifact. My Artifact is a kind of like assembly application where people would supposed to be record their artifact. Okay, like what exactly happened throughout the day, things and that and that and that. Okay. Now, there is a one thing that I am providing in this application is a privacy. Privacy is a kind of like a things that keep people who are kind of like a recording the artifact. Other person might not know who is that particular person. Just a random kind of like a pop of the username, and that's it. Okay. Why am I providing the privacy? Because like it's essential thing when you are sharing your thoughts. Your thoughts are really messy or like a not good. Okay. So basically it's this thing, instead of people judge by your messy thought process, let him private, let him kind of like a things, because human thought process are always been messy, always been unfiltered, always been like a not so good. Okay, yeah. It takes time to cook. An artifact doesn't really have any filter. Whatever you have inside your brain, you just blunt it out. Okay, and this is what I made it this way. Also privacy, because I'm giving the privacy is because of that key, like it's very essential. Okay, yeah. For every possible scenario, obviously is this thing that key sometime privacy is not really good, because if I'm saying that I'm giving them privacy so that they would supposed to be share whatever they have thoughts without thinking about any kind of like some stuff that they would kind of spoil their real life, no. But still, if I allow them a privacy blanket, the user will have that privacy blanket. They might gonna do something really wrong stuff with that privacy too. They might gonna share something like a wrong stuff, hate speeches, um, like a lot of stuff that is not really good. Okay, yeah. In the society that we are living, that is not really good. Okay, yeah. So basically, like that is called toxic artifact. Okay, like toxic artifact is such an artifact where the people who are kind of like a recording such a toxic artifact, they are only one purpose to spread the hate to the people and things and that and that. Okay, that is called somewhat something toxic behavior, which kind of like assembly spoil my app. Okay, yeah. So I have to be judge all the artifact. Okay, yeah. Like every user, they have freedom to say everything Okay, yeah, but their artifact is actually judged by the kind of like a some system. Okay, I'm saying algorithm plus people. Okay, so how does algorithm work? Okay, so basically my application have algorithm. I call them as a Adam. I will gonna mention them as a Adam. Okay, so what exactly happen if the particular person who record the artifact kind of like a said some sort of amount of stuff which is kind of like wrong and things and that, what will gonna happen first of all is that that artifact will convert it into the audio into the text. Okay, yeah, and that text is actually read by the Adam. Adam means AI algorithm. Okay, yeah, it read the text. Okay, yeah, it understand the context, it understand what kind of like a word that every particular person mentioned, and from that thing AI kind of like somebody the Adam will kind of like give the score that how is that artifact is actually really good, is it kind of like a somebody toxic, or is it kind of like a somebody if kind of like that artifact share to the people, what will kind of like impact regarding about every possible scenario. Adam kind of like a judge that artifact and give the score. It just say 10 out of, if the artifact is kind of like a really toxic, really something like about hate speeches and things and that artifact give them kind of like a something 10 out of 2. Okay, yeah, now this is what kind of like a, every artifact is actually judged by the two base system, 30%, 70%. 30% is actually judged by the AI Adam. Okay, yeah, and 70% is actually judged by the people. People are also can able to judge the artifact. How? People will listen those artifact. Okay, yeah, and they will have authority. If they didn't like this artifact, they will give the dislike. Okay, yeah, obviously is a thing, there is a kind of like a number are put their thing to like how many people kind of like a dislike and things and that. Okay, yeah, so this is the way like this is kind of like a things. And another thing is that if some people really like don't really like this artifact, they could supposed to be report that artifact too. Okay, yeah, so what will gonna happen? Okay, so let's just kind of like a understand, the Adam will kind of like a give the score 10 out of 2 regarding about whatever it particular person says. Okay, yeah, the people will kind of like a give the dislike or flag or things and that take an average of 10 out of maybe 4. Okay, yeah, so probably is this thing, this artifact gets score of 20 out of maybe 8 or maybe 7 or something like that. Okay, or maybe yeah, so regarding about that score, artifact will kind of like recommend to the less and less people. If we have less score, it would kind of like a recommend to the less and less people. Okay, yeah, and this is how I control the kind of like a bad and toxic kind of like a something artifact in my application. Now the question is that does AI means Adam will kind of like a something detect what is actually good content or what is actually bad content? Well, unfortunately, okay, yes, AI is really good right now. Let's just say, okay, I am kind of like saying a word. This weather is killing me. This is a statement. This weather is killing me. Means what? Like what is actually we human understand? We understand the weather is like a very brutal, very heat or very cold or very something like that. Okay, yeah, it kind of like a hurting us. So that's why we are kind of like a mention this weather is actually killing me. Well, in this sentence there is a kind of like a word it mentioned killing, but in human perspective we understand the context. Weather killing means like kind of like a weather is brutal and things and that. Okay, it's not meant to be kind of like a weather is kind of like a killing literally people. No, it's not. Okay, yeah, we understand the context. If you ask this question almost like a 2020 before 2020, then AI would consider them this sentence is a wrong. Or why? Because of it has a kind of like a word of killing. So AI would kind of like a understand that ki weather is killing me means weather is literally killing people. Okay, yeah. So this is considered as a kind of like AI would flag that ki this is set statement is a wrong or kind of like a bad or kind of like a really like a violence or things and that and that. Okay, yeah. But in right now, in 2026 point of perspective, AI is much more advanced. It understand the context much more better. If I'm gonna say weather is actually killing me, AI understand like a human that ki AI is killing me. Sorry, weather is actually killing me means like that ki weather is a brutal lot of cold and things. It does not represent the violence. It does not represent killing somebody. Okay, yeah. So yes, AI does understand the what is actually right and wrong, like a harmful content, and it detects AI is a harmful content, good content and harmful content. But let me tell you one thing, like this question is kind of like a simply like a very deep, like yeah, it's very deep. How is that deep? Well, basically, I'm talking about the artifact. I'm talking about, let's just say, billions of people will gonna record the artifact. Okay, yeah. And if such thing happen, how does AI will kind of like how does Adam will kind of like somebody detect all those artifact? It's really like a very difficult to do this thing, right? Well, yeah, it is difficult, but it's not really that. But another thing that I'm kind of like possibly I'm thinking about that humans are very really good with the kind of like a simply psychology of word. Okay, yeah. Let's say comedian are really good comedic. Okay, yeah. Okay, what let just kind of like simply tell you what do you supposed to do. Go to the YouTube, search about any favorite comedian on YouTube. Okay, let's just say my favorite comedian creator is a Zakir Khan. Okay, so I went to Zakir Khan. Okay, watch his video. I was trying to watch his video. Now in YouTube there is a feature called audio, kind of like a feature. Like literally you can change the audio from Hindi to English or things and that because YouTube right now have that feature. Okay, yeah. So basically Zakir Khan made the entire video in Hindi. If I play in English, then what is actually happened that AI is kind of like add the audio layer, English audio layer, and match with the subtitle, and it kind of like a said that English thing. Okay, yeah. Now, what do you supposed to do? Try to listen the English kind of like a somebody whatever the AI English kind of like a things. You realize, okay, yeah, it translate Hindi into English, but it does not understand the context that much. Why? Because comedian use very like a very subtle language that still AI does not understand. Okay, yeah. Like literally, some comedian are so smart regarding about like a like a word manipulation. We understand after some sort of amount of time. Literally, some sort of joke is kind of like a such a joke that just like, oh my god. Okay, let me tell you one thing. There is a kind of like a somebody kind of like a comedian named Samay Rena. Okay, yeah. And Samay Rena has a show called India's Got Talent. Okay, I'm gonna tell you the joke. Okay, so basically, in the Samay Rena shows, there is a porn star came. It's not porn star. It's a something that he like a like a basically it's not porn star, but it's a kind of like a she's showing kind of like a lot of nude photos on like OnlyFans and things and that whatever. Oh yeah. So her name is a Poonam Pandey. Okay, Poonam Pandey, probably a Poonam Pandey. She is a somewhat something showing something explicit image, uploading some sort of explicit image on social media platform. Okay, so basically she came on his show. Okay, yeah. So what kind of like a somewhere in a joke, it was like a really crazy. Okay, yeah. He says thanks for coming. Okay, yeah. And basically it's his thing. She says thank you. Okay, yeah. Joke is not done yet. Okay, yeah. Thanks for coming. And he says she says thank you. And then he says thanks for coming here too. So basically is this thing, thanks for coming, the previous one that he mentioned regarding about what is regarding about This is kind of like really crazy. Okay, he kind of like said thanks for coming means like that ki like in the kind of like assembly porn world, thanks for coming means like that ki when you ejaculate and things and that, and kind of like a woman says I'm coming, like whatever, it's like really stupid stuff. Like search this joke on the internet, you will kind of like find out. Okay, so let's just understand. So this joke, how okay, yeah. So what was I telling? I was kind of like saying that ki yeah, that joke. Okay, so in comedic language is this thing that ki AI does not understand that joke. It understands the context, but it does not understand the context that much. Okay, yeah. And this is what kind of like a comedian do. Comedian use some sort of kind of like a simply word manipulation, and it really required a brain power to understand the joke. Literally, brain power to understand the joke. Okay, yeah. And this is where AI lag. AI does not understand the what does comedian says. Human we understand, okay, yeah, but AI does not understand. Now that is a kind of like a problem right now. Problem is that key, let's just say obviously the people who kind of like record the artifact, they are different kind of people who are kind of like saying something different words and things and that and that and that. Okay, yeah. Now some particular person might be very creative regarding about spreading the harmful content with using very such a kind of like a context that kind of like a AI does not understand, like a comedian use. Okay, yeah. So in that process, how does my Adam will kind of like a detect that harmful content? That is a kind of like a really good challenge for me. But I do understand that I have this filter layer. Okay, yeah, that key like a basically is this thing that key, if AI does not understand, like a particular person use a kind of like a somebody word manipulation and kind of like use this technique to kind of like a sharing harmful content that Adam does not understand, it gives a score 10 out of 9, but it has a contribution of 700 out of 30. 70% contribution still understand by people. and people will also kind of like give you the plus sign too, even if that is a harmful content. Why? Because people loves creativity. Okay, yeah. Let me tell you something. If the one particular person kind of like doing the hate speeches, dub 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 dub, it doesn't really have that creativity. People understand, okay, this is kind of like a stupid person who kind of like a talk shit. Okay, yeah. But what if the a creative person who is kind of like a talking shit but very creatively, then people admire that. Okay, then people are kind of like a praise for that. Like basically whatever the particular person kind of like a said, okay, I know it's wrong, but it would be kind of like a much more funny and much more kind of like a some interesting way, so that I would supposed to be listen, and I would supposed to be kind of like a simply things, or I would supposed to give the thumbs up even if the content is wrong. Okay, yeah. So in that context, I don't know how we're supposed to do that. Okay, yeah. And in this particular stuff, okay, I don't know, is this thing, is it kind of like a harmful content or not? Because that is a kind of like a things. Okay, yeah. If you are kind of like a simply is this thing that key sharing harmful content with layer of creativity, then I would supposed to be let them kind of like only share. Okay, yeah. Why? Because of that ki it's something that na ki, like he thinks out of the box. Okay, yeah. And he can dodge Adam, he can dodge all my algorithm system to kind of like simply sharing the harmful content. I would supposed to be praise him, dude, you are like a legit good. Okay, you are kind of like a dodging the AI, you are dodging my system, so that would be kind of like a really good. Okay, yeah, this would be happen. Okay, yeah. So regarding about this, okay, yeah, that is a kind of like a things that key probably AI does not understand at the moment. Okay, yeah. Okay, this is the one thing. Okay. Okay. So basically, is this thing that key, then should I supposed to be rely on AI regarding about the judgment of artifact? Well, I have to be, because I don't really have any choice. Like, how do I supposed to verify which AI is really good for it, which artifact is really good or not? Like, there would be kind of like a billions of artifact will gonna uploaded every single day on my application, billions. Okay, yeah. So how do I supposed to be track them all? Definitely I cannot, any human cannot. Okay, literally just like that. And this is 4005 artifact that I recorded right now, and literally till now I haven't really listened any of my artifact. I just record and that's it. Okay, yeah. I'm trying to kind of like convert my artifact into the text and kind of like convert into the book, and I'm reading that book. Okay, yeah. But it was a kind of like a something very premium layer that I'm reading. Okay, yeah. The very raw content that I haven't really still listened my artifact. Okay, yeah. And also let me tell you one thing now. This platform, this artifact I build is not for listening, is for saying. Yeah, literally just like saying. Okay, because I have been doing this thing for almost like a decade. Okay, yeah. And I haven't really kind of like listened any of my artifact, probably maybe one or two, very less in number, like literally less in number. And I also want the same thing from the user should supposed to be open artifact, and they would supposed to be record the artifact. They will not supposed to be listen the artifact, because it doesn't really make sense to listen. Okay, if you are kind of like a listening, that is okay, fine, that is all. But still is this thing, the main crux of the user get value is when they record the artifact. Okay, when they record the artifact. Okay, because when you record the artifact, you feel free, you feel kind of like this thing, someone, you feel lighter version of yourself. Okay, and that is a beauty. When you listening artifact, you might gonna get little bit of kind of like a something that key influence or motivational from some sort of people, but that's it. You don't really get any kind of like a some value. You just kind of like listening the artifact. The more of the value that you get when you record the artifact. So that's why I'm a bit more focused on recording artifact instead of listening artifact. Okay, let me kind of like give you comparison so that you might even understand. YouTube is a platform where you could watch the video. Okay, literally watch the video. 90% or 99% of the user on YouTube are are meant to be watch the video, not create the video. Okay, yeah. And that is a beauty. Because of that, YouTube is kind of like a meant to share a platform where whatever the creativity that you have and things and that. But my platform is not to meant to kind of like a simply listen artifact. It meant to record the artifact. Okay, and that is the beauty of it. So that's what I'm kind of like saying. And whatever kind of like somebody use kind of like a record the artifact, it judge and it kind of like a things and that. Okay, so this is how AI, this is how kind of like somebody I create this platform. Now let's talk about the AI. Okay, AI like my Adam will kind of like somebody detect the pattern. Okay, what human could do and what AI could do. Like let me tell you one thing. Yeah, my platform is a kind of like a simply judged by Adam. Okay, yeah. So there is a kind of like a somebody, let's just say a bodyguard or kind of like a not bodyguard, a kind of like a somebody the like a doorman who kind of like a somebody, yeah, he's a guard. Okay, let's just understand. Now some people will kind of like a utilize my platform for wrong purposes. Okay, yeah. And they will use other AI to kind of like a simply do this thing. Example, I can record artifact maybe once in a day or maybe twice in a day, probably. Sometime if I really excited or really want to talk, I might gonna record 3 times in a day. That's it. Okay, yeah. But that is a kind of like a maximum potential. Okay, yeah. That I cannot record more than 3 times. Okay, yeah. And I cannot able to upload my artifact more than 3 times in a day. I don't. Okay, yeah. But what if some user are uploading almost like hundreds of artifacts per day? What would you understand? Obviously, there is no human capacity to kind of like do this thing. So who is actually kind of like a recording those hundreds of artifacts? AI could do that. Adam will understand the pattern. Okay, yeah. Like that is the beauty of Adam. Like basically, I design like I will gonna design Adam in such a way that it understand the pattern. Look, understand means like it. Okay, what does AI, what is Adam will gonna do? Okay, let me kind of like let me give you context. Okay, so every artifact that you kind of like record in my platform, whatever the kind of like assembly, the word that you mention regarding about mention your name or kind of like a things like at the spur of the moment, you kind of like a mention some for people about people name and things and that. Okay, yeah, that word, that things will strip out in the app. Okay, it will not gonna go to the cloud. It will strip out in the application. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, the whatever the left, it kind of like a pure doesn't really mention any kind of like a name, location, nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like a some artifact will kind of like a uploaded to cloud to Adam. Okay, yeah. Now what exactly is this thing? Adam will have your artifact. Okay, yeah. Now that artifact will gonna share to the rest of public and things and that. But what exactly is this thing? Adam will kind of like create the blueprint regarding about you. It kind of like a create a digital kind of like a avatar about you. It try to understand you, what kind of like a person you are by whatever you kind of like mention in the artifact. Okay, yeah. How good you are person and things and that. Okay, yeah. Now basically let's just kind of like a things. Okay, yeah. I kind of like a mention that key when you lie in artifact, it's not really good. Okay, yeah. How does I determine that somebody lying? Is because of this system, Adam will kind of like somebody try to understand you, and it kind of like remember what is actually stuff that you did or what is actually your personality and things and that. Let's just say my personality is a kind of like a things that I didn't really steal any kind of like some money, or maybe I steal when I was kind of like a child. Okay, yeah. But right now, do I able to be steal any kind of like some money or things and that? No, I would not gonna do that. Why? Because it's a kind of like a wrong and things and that. So if I directly said that I kind of like a somebody, I robbed the bank, Adam will not understanding that this particular person is a really good person. He didn't really kind of like a somebody rob, or maybe whatever the money that he steal, maybe kind of like a somebody just 10, 20, 50 rupees, that's it. This particular person doesn't really have courage to rob the bank. Okay, yeah, because his previous artifact episode is kind of like a mention he's a very calm and very positive person. Okay, yeah. So Adam will kind of like detect a flag that how that particular person will gonna rob the bank. Okay, yeah. So that is a kind of like a things. So Adam will try to understand, do you really does that? Okay, yeah. Like basically try to, Adam will ask you such a question, a kind of like indirect way, that have you ever kind of like a steal something? Okay, yeah. Obviously in the next artifact episode or previous, okay, like basically is this thing that ki, have you steal something? Then particular person says that ki, if he kind of like a rob the bank, he might gonna say I robbed the bank. If he don't, he might not gonna say this thing. So basically is this thing na ki Adam try to verify you every single time regarding about your previous action and things and that, and try to kind of like a understand what kind of like a person you are. Okay, yeah. And if you did something activity which is kind of like a far beyond that cluster, like a far beyond that cluster, Adam kind of like a flag something that he something wrong. Okay, yeah. And Adam try to verify you that he, is it actually happened? Like is it actually you robbed the bank? Is it actually things you did? Okay, yeah. And this is what it is. Okay, it's kind of like a create that digital personality of the every person. Okay, yeah. Now this is kind of like a very like a triggered. Like a triggered means what? Ki, am I allowed to do that? Like like basically does it kind of like a violate the policy of privacy? Like basically I mentioned that ki privacy is the utmost essential thing. So you are protecting my privacy from other people, but like basically Adam will have entire information about me. So what exactly is this thing? Okay, yeah. So Adam does not really have any information about you. Adam strip out the every information in the app level, nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. So basically Adam does have information about that profile handle. That's it. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay. And that profile handle is that it's a kind of like a things, it's like it's yeah, okay. So and also is this thing that na ki Adam does not really know you, because it does not really know you, it does not know your name, it does not know anything at all. Okay, yeah, because every entire information about you is actually stripped out at the beginning. Okay, yeah. So is it privacy? So that's what I'm kind of like I say is this thing. Okay, yeah. Let's just say you know everything about me but you don't know my name, then is it called privacy violation? That's a kind of like a thing. Okay, yeah. uh, I try to build, but I don't know will government will kind of like allow me to do that. Okay, yeah. Obviously not. I don't know, but like basically I have to do this thing, like I have to do kind of like I have to take the permission from the government, because let me tell you one thing na, if I'm not kind of like if I'm not letting Adam to understand the user, then user will kind of like a said so many stuff, then Adam will not gonna understand the pattern regarding about the every user, what we're gonna do, what that things and that. And basically if I'm thinking that now every kind of like a social media website or application have kind of like a, that pattern recognition. Okay, yeah. Like basically is this thing na ki, let's just say you are the YouTuber, you actually upload a video regarding about, let's just say a kind of like a simply education video and things and that. Suddenly you upload the fashion video, then that fashion video kind of like a work well? No, it does not really work well. Okay, why? Because it kind of like a something different than your topic. Huh, but dude, in this context na, the people are actually judging the video na in the YouTube platform, not the algorithm kind of like a judging, right? Yeah, that is true. Yeah, that is true. So this is what it is na, this is what kind of like a things like at this moment I don't know how do I supposed to do that. Like I was have kind of like a lot of thought process regarding about this thing. I'm not really sure about that, but I have to understand that if one particular person knows everything about me but he doesn't know that my name, then is it my policy? Like it's a kind of like a things that ki like like a kind of like a somebody, a blind person knows everything about me but he didn't really knew me probably. I don't know, it's a very wild thing. Okay, yeah. I don't know how do I supposed to execute. Like I'm kind of like a saying lot of very big words, very big stuff. But when I try to implement, obviously it's lot of problem will gonna happen. Okay, yeah. Government issues will gonna happen too. Okay, yeah, we have policies, and I don't want my application would supposed to be kind of like a somebody invade any kind of like a privacy or any kind of like a some stuff. I make sure my platform is as better as possible. Like whatever it add value in me, I want that same value to the user. Okay, yeah. um yes, I will not gonna go against any government policy. If the government ask me to not to do that thing, I will not gonna do that. Okay, yeah. So yeah, this is it. Okay, yeah, okay, thank you.